international boards, two very prominent Indian boards as well. So how do you choose? If you are a parent, how do you decide what is best for your kid? What kind of education will make them future-proof? All of that is what we're going to discuss today on the Battle of Boards.
And after that, for our person of interest, we have someone who's lived in India for more than a decade now. She came here in the early 2000s. She's made a career and a name for herself as an actress that you will recognize, and she's someone who's fallen in love with Indian languages. We won't tell you too much more. My name's Toya Singh. Let's take you very quickly to all of the headlines. So first up, as we promised, the battle of the boards, ICSE versus CBSE versus IB versus IGCSE. Which one sets students up for success? Academic tradition versus new progressive educations. The exam-centric model versus the idea of continuous evaluation. We're going to be taking a look at all of this and what prepares you best for international and domestic opportunities.
Also on the program, we've got actress, the German actress, can we really call her that anymore? Suzanne Bernert on her life in India, on learning different Indian languages and also understanding what it takes to fall in love with one. That's our person of interest.
And then we take you on the road. What you're looking at right now is the 2025 Audi RS Q8 launched in India. It gets a facelift. Price starts at 2.49 crores. Look at the engine, the design, the features. What can you expect from this new model? We tell you what the key changes are, what the upgrades are, right here on the show.
And also, it's the day of Mahashivratri and also the grand finale for Mahakumbh 2025, the Shahi Snan. Day to day, devotees have flocked the Kumbh Mela for the very last time. And the essential guidelines for the Snan, we'll take you through all of that and bring you a glimpse. In India, education has always been a top priority for generations. It's been seen as the foundation of success and a better future. But in today's world, where technology is advancing at lightning speed and the future is increasingly shaped by AI and automation, basically, we don't know what it really holds. Many parents are asking, how do we future-proof our children's education? As industries and job markets evolve, the skills our kids will need tomorrow may look very different from what we value today. So how do we prepare them for a future that's still unfolding and very, very unpredictable?
Now, the truth is there's no one-size-fits-all answer, and we're not going to promise to reveal that to you. But choosing the right education board for your child is about understanding what fits their learning style, their needs, especially in the future, and their goals. Whether it's an Indian board like ICSE or CBSE, or an international board like the IB or the IGCSE, each offers something very, very unique. And we thought today we should explore how each system approaches things, like curriculum flexibility, like holistic development, assessment methods, global recognition, and teaching styles.
Very
the
important,
idea of today is to help you make an informed decision about what's best for your child's future.
So like we said, this is a battle of boards, as we've called it, but there is no one board which is better than the other. It's always what's best suited for your child. So the key here to understand is what is best suited for your child, and perhaps we've got a spectrum of guests here for you on the program. Let me start by bringing in the popular ICSE representation here, Dr. Sanjay Roy. He's the principal of Green Lawn School in Worli, ICSE board. From CBSE, we've got Manipushpak Joshi, founding chairman of Aurum Global School in Haldwani. From the IB board, the international board here, we've got Rupa Chakrabarti. She's the director of education of Sun City Schools in India. And IGCSE, that's the Cambridge board, we've got Mrs. Deepika Chatterjee, and she's the director principal for JBCN, another very popular school in Mumbai. Let me give the first word to the national boards, the schools and the boards we grew up in, to sort of understand what's really going on here. And let me bring in Dr. Sanjay Roy. Dr. Sanjay Roy, all of us in the 90s grew up knowing this is the only way to excel in life. Get good marks, get a good job, and then you are set on the right track. What is going on? Why has the sudden popularity of the international boards making everybody question, wait, hang on, is this rut-towing way really the way forward for our kids? And what I want to understand is, where do you think the Indian boards are actually lacking then?
So that's a very good question. Good morning to all of you. Good morning to the panelists. First, let me start with the ICSE board and let me tell you more about it. So ICSE is basically a very comprehensive, balanced and application-based board. It is a board that gives you an in-depth knowledge of the curriculum. Not only does it focus on the academics, but it also focuses on the extracurricular activities. When I talk about the application-based learning, we do have projects, we do have experiments, we have field trips. And overall, it is a board that makes an all-round personality, an all-round student. It makes student ready for the future, ready to take on the world by instilling certain important values as well, like social responsibility, respect for the diversity, and many more. But when it comes to a child who is trying to focus on moving abroad, now for that, there is a specific requirement. They need to understand that when we are talking about the foreign universities, their grading system, their ways of teaching, their way of analyzing a child is completely different as compared to what we have in the Indian boards.
I see.
Yes, they do have a global mindset, adaptability, globally oriented education, and of course, their ways of teaching, their ways of having the curriculum design is completely different. So for a student who wants to move abroad, IB and IGCSE would be the right choice.
Okay.
For a child who is ready to take on the Indian challenges, you talk about the UPSC, you talk about the NEET exams, you talk about the IIT JEE exams. For them, the Indian curriculum is the best suited one. So it totally depends on what the child wants.
Okay.
Should we hear from Mr. Joshi too on that?
Yeah. Mr. Joshi, so
Yes,
you know
morning.
what I'm hearing from Dr. Sanjay Roy is that if you want to appear for Indian competitive exams, ICSE or CBSE is the way forward. If you want to go abroad and that's your goal, then go for an IB board. Isn't that a very simplistic way of looking at things? And what about criticisms that both the boards, Indian boards, have been facing, that all you have to do is mug up the answers and go get a fantastic score? None of this. I don't remember much of what I studied in school here today, if I can be honest about it.
Right. I will give you 4 and 5 names. One is Sundar Pichai. Other one is Shantanu Narayanan. Third is Parag Agrawal, Satya Nadella, and Ajay Pal Singh Banga. We all know them, right? They are the product of our board. ICSE and CBSE boards. So they have done it, right? So I cannot say that Indian boards or the students which excel from Indian boards are not able to perform there. The only thing is, yes, if your child, if a parent can identify his child, and if he has to live in this culture of Indian culture and an Indian system, then obviously ICSE and CBSE are the best ones. But if you are about to move out, so how IB board come into existence? It's just because it was made for the individuals who move from one country to other, and they need one standardized board. So for them, this IB came into existence. Otherwise, every country has its own board, and according to its own situations and own circumstances, that boards evolves. So when any CBSE or ICSE student want to apply there are very simple methods. If they want to go for further studies, any foreign university studies, they have to make a profile of them very strong, where their contribution towards society should be very clearly mentioned in their whole profile. They have to sit for SAT if they are going for US basically. And then there are few AP examinations which they can do, and many are doing it. So I don't think that CBSE or ICSE students are, if they are planning to go out, then they should have to go to IB board, because then comes the cost. CBSE and ICSE are giving very affordable education in our country. But if you'll see in IB, the price are exorbitant.
Right.
Exorbitant price.
Yeah.
So this is what I say.
There's no denying the heavy price tag. I think the interesting question today, though, is how are we defining education? So what are we looking at? Are we looking at the quality of the education? Is that what is the final defining point here? Just to come in on some of these points, we have two more guests, and they're going to be speaking on IB and, as we've already told you, IGCSE. So if I can go first, let's go over to Ms. Chakravarti. Can we just ask you, I'm an IB kid. I know the critical thinking that IB says it's going to bring its students. And I mean, I've experienced it firsthand. I saw the difference between a CBSE education and an IB education. I just want to ask you, Ms. Chakravarti, that differentiation that we're making, that it's the right thing to do if you're growing abroad. Do you think that's the biggest advantage that IB offers, or do you think it's far more when it comes to how to think? Because we said right in the beginning, it's about how to think and how to future-proof. That for me is where IB wins out. How do you see it?
So good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you asked that question, because I want to begin on the premise that my father went abroad and my son went abroad. And none of them were from either Cambridge or IB board. I studied in a Cambridge board. I didn't go abroad. So I think let's begin on that premise that it is not as simplistic, and I like that word, that it doesn't have such a simple definition about why do the IB board. Yeah. It's a question of the vision and the necessity of teaching a child and how that teaching is to be expedited. So when we talk about that, that's when the premise or the base or the foundation comes in, So are we wanting our child to go through the content or the content delivery? It's very important for the content delivery to be of a certain kind. We also have the focus on holistic development, which of course I must add that CBSE is also trying to focus on that. But that's what these foreign boards actually look at. And you having been in the IB board, and I can tell you when I was doing Cambridge, like I remember in grade 6, we did Africa, because every year there was one continent we had to do in geography. And we were given this plank of wood, and in groups we had to make one of the villages of Africa, So I will never forget that we had to make round huts. So that was something which was so unique when I was learning. So it is about the 3 domains, that they have actually focused on. They focused on the cognitive, they focused on the affective, because you know that the core, you being an IB student, they bring in the core which has CAS, which is so resplendent, let me use that word, with the learning of creativity, of activity, and of service. So you have over here very clearly the 3 domains of learning being integrated, amalgamated, of cognitive, of affective, and psychomotor, so that the child's holistic development happens. And I think that is the best part. Content is there everywhere. But how do we deliver content is the key to this whole thing. And with the expansion, with boundaries becoming, kind of seamless world that we started living in, the international mindedness that it brings, and especially I'm talking about IB, is fantastic, And then we have TOK. I have taught TOK, Theory of Knowledge, and I know how fantastic and in-depth thinking that entails. And that is why I talk about the boards, but let's not be simplistic and say to go abroad, because I think that's a misnomer, an anomaly which has kind of cropped up from people who do not want to do the in-depth study of what actually these foreign boards give you.
Okay.
Okay.
But what about if we could take that second aspect, the price tag? Because that's the other big thing that, you know, with IB and IGCSE, that is a complaint. And when you look at the numbers, it's a legitimate complaint. This, Deepika Chatterjee, if we could come over to you on that.
Yes, that is something that all of us are aware of. However, I would start by saying what a wonderful panel to be a part of. Good morning to all my friends, and thank you for inviting me here to be a part of this discussion. First of all, I refuse to participate in the battle because a battle looks like we are on opposite sides. In fact, all of us are sitting on the same side. We're talking about future-proofing education for our learners, and each one of us believes in that. The belief of best practices in education is actually curriculum agnostic. Does not matter which curriculum we follow as long as we have reflective practitioners who realize that the goal of the curriculum is to ensure that our learners understand what agency means, what independent learning means. In order to understand the future needs people who will be able to strategize, who will be able to reflect, who will be able to solve the problems that we don't even know about. And that is the focus of all education. With NEP coming in, I think the lines between Indian and international education is just blurring. And like Rupa rightly said, the children that we are bringing up in our schools are going to inhabit the world. It's not just one country that we are thinking about. I think Indians have already established, like my friend said, that they can lead the world. And in order to lead the world, they need practices in schools that will ensure that they are ready with skills, they are ready with the idea that education goes beyond curriculum.
Mr.
Yes,
Chakrabarti, you've spoken like a true teacher, like a true educationalist. Very glad to hear those words. And you're right, our attempt here is not to do a battle of sorts. Our attempt is just to understand what suits our kids the best, right? And we have enough and more examples of households where one child goes to a CBSE while the other goes to an IB because the parents are able to take that call on which way are they more in depth. And the endeavor here is to just understand who's scoring on what front. So let me begin by asking you, the thing with IB that we often sort of understand is that it's very teacher oriented. And we've not had enough time to see a long-term result of IB or a Cambridge board in India. We were discussing about 30, 40 years.
Right. And
about
it was only created in the 1970s, the IB.
That's right. So it's not very old. We don't know what we're getting into. So in terms of long term, like we haven't seen careers flourishing out of these boards, if that's what you're saying. But is that a wrong direction then? Should you say life flourishing out of these boards more than careers flourishing? I caught your chain of thought over there straight away, right? But I want to take that question both to the Cambridge and IB board representative to understand, okay, what are you trying? What is the end goal when it comes to kids here? And how are you going to ensure that this teacher-oriented program remains intact? Beautiful curriculum, but so dependent on the quality of teachers.
Absolutely, and I think that is the call of the hour. We need to focus more on the development of teachers all over the country. And again, curriculum agnostic. We know about assessments and we know the focus that has come in our country on assessment for learning. But then there is this other beautiful new tool that we have all been aware of for a very long time, and that is assessment as learning. The fact that our teachers are coming in, and I have some wonderful young teachers who bring in best practices from all over the world, and there is so much of sharing because there are groups of teachers in our school who share the learning that they have from outside as well as from within the community of teachers that is growing steadily. Again, the focus of all curricula is to ensure that it is not teacher-led anymore, and that is the most difficult thing to do. To ensure that the teachers do not lead the classroom and the learning happens through the learners, and the inquiry in the classroom is what we have to teach our teachers to. In order to step back, they have to go through a lot of professional development.
Right. Can I request also our other guest to actually come in on this one. We've got, Dr. Rupa Chakrabarti, if you can also come in.
So when you talk about teachers, you know, the way we try to teach, you know, in the IB board is what everybody is aware of. But there is one essence which is irrespective of the board. That is to ignite the curiosity of a child and make the child a lifelong learner. Because once you're curious, you're a lifelong learner. So I think, like Ms. Chatterjee rightly said, it's not about the boards. It's about the way we are looking at it, you know, even A levels, because each board has its strength. Every board has its strength. But what about the way we utilize that strength of that board? Like one of the speakers rightly said, one of the panelists, that we have these many glorious people who have gone on to head some of the most well-known and sought-after companies. I mean, 5.6% of the Fortune 500 companies are led by Indians. And they've studied in these kind of boards, you know.
Yes.
So having said that, and having studied to a great extent in a foreign board, I feel the vision with which we are looking at, and let's not undermine Cambridge, because
Seem to have lost that signal.
Yeah, I think we've lost her connection, and we'll come back to her in just a second. But let's go back to the OGs that we started with. Mani Pushpak ji, if we could come back to you to understand a little bit more on your perspective, and Dr. Sanjay Roy, if we can come back to you to understand more about both of your perspectives on this entire story. Let me come actually, Dr. Sanjay, will come to you in a second. Let me actually go first to Mani Pushpak Joshi to understand from him. There is one criticism, especially recently, that we're hearing around CBSE. So we know that it wins out, and I just want to summarize quickly for our audiences. It does win out hands down on the pricing argument. There is, I don't think there is necessarily space for nuance. I think the larger question of what teaches you better, critically arms you, there the jury remains open. But Mani Pushpak ji, if I could come to you to ask you, recently a lot of the criticism for CBSE, if there's been any, has ranged around changes. The fact that changes are made again and again, the fact that even right now, as we were just talking about it, big positive changes made in class 10, but it's left a lot of people grumbling that changes to hote rehte hain har saal. Do you think that is just part and parcel of running any board? How do you see it?
Yes, changes are required in every process, and rather than changing is evolution. What I see it, I am seeing an evolution, because we have to see what's going on. You know, what is going on in our surrounding, how the other countries are evolving, how they are changing their boards, and how can we make our student more competitive. End of the day, we are a country with huge population. Right, so we have to train our students also according to it. When we see that yes, we are now a globalized world, then what's going on other side of the country, or what's going on other side of the world, and how we can do it and how we can change it. So the basic criticism for CBSE boards and ICSE boards, it's pressure, right? So government is yes, so government is trying to lower it down by giving them more options. If you'll see in class 12th, in class 10th, we now have more subject options. Now a student can choose psychology with biology. So the options, they are increasing those options. They are giving more and more, flexibility to students. So they can. So the only thing is to reduce the pressure, and with that we cannot compromise on quality also.
Yeah.
Okay, but if I could ask, and I'll take this to Dr. Sanjay Roy, Doctor, what we were addressing a little earlier though, with our other two panelists, was that with IB, with IGCSE, it's more than just the subjects. You're teaching people how to think. With a structure, for example, like TOK, Theory of Knowledge, you're teaching people how to think about different things around them, and in a sense, arming them for life beyond the subjects. As we were saying earlier, when's the last time we needed to use how the inside of a cell membrane is shaped? Not too often. So how would you answer that question? Where do you see IGSE, CBSE using that?
Yeah, and can I just add to that, just to sort of bring in a perspective, just for example, really today as grown-ups, and you know, it's a very balanced panel because Toya is from an IB board, I came from an ICSE board. as a grown-up, I don't see a lot of application for all the stuff that I studied so hard for. I don't see sine, cos, theta being used today in world at all. And when I have a child today, I'm thinking AI is going to answer all those questions. Does she really need that? Which is where the question to these OG boards comes on how are you evolving to future-proof kids in a world where answers are there, application is required.
How to think. Dr. Sanjay?
I think that's a wonderful question once again, and I think most of the questions have already been answered by the esteemed panelists. But let me tell you that ICSE, as Mr. Joshi rightly said, that we are evolving as well. And after the NEP coming in, and in fact much before that, right from the time ICSE board has come into existence, I think 1958. Right from then, the system of giving options to the students is already there. All right, it's not that it's something new that the ICSE is coming up with. We already had that system long ago. In fact, ICSE is one board, I think, all over the world, which has exams being conducted in all the regional languages of India. We have all these subjects being covered so that a child is more comfortable in answering the paper, in applying it, and at the same time understanding whatever he or she is doing. Now, we also have, I'm sure you being an ICSE student, you've done something that is known as SUPW, Social Useful Productive Work. Now, we just name that same gift in different ways, like TOK, and of course, so it's just the same packet. It's the same gift which is put in different packets. So it's not that one board is better than the other. It's basically what type of human beings are we creating. So ICSE also, as I said earlier, it aims at holistic development. It also aims at creating good human beings through these subjects, because no matter what, if you are good in your subject, if you're good in understanding, if you're sympathetic, if you're empathetic towards the others, I think you, whether you are in India or abroad, you will turn out to be a successful as well as a great personality in your respective field. So I completely feel that ICSE is, I would not say better, but yes, on par as compared to the other boards, and it does give an edge as compared to the other state boards or maybe the A levels. I'm sorry about that, but then I feel that the rigorousness of the curriculum is very intense. So,
okay,
it's not that ICSE principles, so I'm supporting that, but yes, that is the fact, because it grills you. And once, this is like, if you talk about a diamond, till the diamond doesn't undergo the right amount of pressure, it will not shine.
I don't know, sir. That's what I think. That's the critical. I don't want to say flaw, but the way in which the CBSE, the ICSE.
If you want to shine like the sun during the student life, first learn to burn like the sun.
I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think through play is how you learn, and I think there are other boards that maybe emphasize that. But it's been lovely to have all of you here to explain to us, to just sort of for us also to ask these deeper questions.
We should come back and revisit this. We were just warming up and we were just getting the daggers out to understand which board does what, but maybe for another time. We do want to thank IIMUN for actually arranging this beautiful panel for us. That's India's International Movement for United Nations, to unite the nations actually, and to actually get them all on board. How lovely, no, to actually hear from all of them. And just basically tells you what? That tells you that there is no right or wrong for a board to be. It's all about the curriculum, it's all about the school. And perhaps the next question that parents might have in mind is, what do you give priority to? Do you give priority to the right kind of school or the right kind of board? But that's a debate for another day.
Okay, we're going to be heading into a break, and on the other side, we're not done at all. We have someone very, very interesting joining us on the show, German actress Suzanne Bernert, on Life in India. She's acted in India for more than a decade now. She tells us all about what it's like to learn different Indian languages, and the story of how Hindi helped her out.
focus is on achieving a ceasefire as soon as possible and ultimately a permanent peace. My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues. Chief among them is this is the right time. It may be the only time. You know, we're working on deals right now, transactions right now, and in particular, the big one is to get the war stopped, whether it's ceasefire or direct to an agreement.
I think it's good to have discussion. I think it's useful to have negotiation. I think it's super important to go to the peace. But my strong point was to say, let's try to get something first which can be assessed, checked and verified. And let's be sure that we build sufficient guarantees on the short run. And this is where we are ready to be engaged. As for France, a lot of my European colleagues are ready to be engaged. But we do need this American backup because this is part of the credibility of the security guarantees. And this is our collective deterrence capacity. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for the time.
We want peace. And I think the initiative of President Trump is a very positive one. Be careful, because we need something substantial for Ukraine, but for the security of Europe and France. And second, let's work together on the future to preserve security guarantees, meaning to be sure that this peace will be respected by Russia. First, to have a truce. I think it could be done in the weeks to come. During this period of time, we negotiate on security guarantees, land and territories, and it will be the responsibility of the Ukrainian president. Reconstruction. The US will have the deal on critical minerals and rare earths and so on.
Fine.
So we have to negotiate with the US, with the allies, with Ukraine, which type of security guarantee makes sense. It could be first, increase the capacities of Ukraine to maintain a strong army. We worked very hard together with the UK Prime Minister to have a French-UK proposal to say we are ready to send troops, not to go to the front line, not to go in confrontation, but to be in some locations, being defined by the treaty, as a presence to maintain this peace and our collective credibility with the US backup and the US backstop. We didn't tariff the US. We want to cut red tape for us as Europeans, and it will simplify the life of your companies, fine.
All right, welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Our next guest has a very, very interesting story. She came to India from Germany back in 2005 to work as an actress. And over the years, she's picked up multiple Indian languages, worked in different industries across the country, and of course, made India her home. She's seen firsthand how language can connect people. And she believes Hindi actually helped her bridge a lot of the different language gaps.
All right, so let's hear more from her journey and from Suzanne Bernert as well. Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So just to give a context to our viewers, Suzanne, you've played in multiple movies, you've played in multiple series. What really fascinated me was that you played for a Balaji series as well. So you came to India to act, and then you had to learn how to adapt to its languages as well. First up, take me through, what was your first understanding of Hindi? How did it strike you first, and where are you at now?
Okay, I studied acting, and I never put it in my dreams that I would end up in India. And I was on holiday in Dubai. I did a movie there. I met a lot of Indian people who were coming. Dubai was a hotspot in the 2000s to go for shooting. So a lot of people were there, and I met a line producer, introduced me to other contacts, and that's how my journey started. So I actually came to shoot a TV show called Astitva Ek Prem Kahani by Ajay Sinha, what was a super hit in the 2004, 5, 6 sector with Nikki Anijavalia and Harsh Chaya and Alok Nath, who I had my first scene with, and I was very, very nervous because I had to do Perchana. touch the feet. And I was like, कैसे क्या मुझे समझ में नहीं आया. What do I do? Yeah, it is not a habit. It's not a custom in my country, in Germany.
Yes.
We don't do that, even though I do it with my parents now.
Oh.
Who absolutely love it. And the first word I think everybody learns is chai and pani.
Ah. Chai and pani.
That's funny. I was about to ask, like, is it thank you, is it please? But can you tell us a little bit more about the acting journey that you've had over the last 20 years? One of my favorite facts that we came about when we were researching about you was that you played Sonia Gandhi 4 times now.
Yes.
That's a lot of playing Sonia Gandhi.
Yes.
What does your research for a role like that actually look like? Are you watching documentaries? Are you watching her?
Okay, what happened with the first one was for Chunav. For the elections in 2014, they were doing background portrayals. So it was another news channel. And for that, I looked at YouTube videos and I was just preparing. I was more concentrating on the voice because I wanted to keep it natural. And because behind the scenes is a private life, so you have to take liberties, because if somebody is just like in this public life, they have a public persona, so we had to take some creative liberties. And then for Accidental Prime Minister, I actually got a file from the director who told me, these are the videos I want you to see, these are the things that you should keep in mind. These is, and we did a couple of workshops, but basically I worked 6 months on the character.
Wow, wow. But just to sort of give people a glimpse of how much of Hindi you know, let me turn this into a Hindi conversation.
हाँ बिल्कुल, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
कोई दिक्कत, बहुत अच्छी बात है. तो अब आप मुझे ये बताएं कि आपको हिंदी आती है, आप थोड़ी बहुत मराठी भी बोल लेती हैं, आपने मराठी मूवीज़ भी करी हैं. तो हिंदी लर्न करने में, मराठी लर्न करने में सबसे सुंदर बात, सबसे अच्छी बात और सबसे डिफ़िकल्ट बात कौन सी है?
हिंदी पढ़ने में ये बहुत दिक्कत है, आजकल भी बहुत दिक्कत है. 20 साल के बाद में अभी भी बहुत धीरे धीरे मैं पढ़ सकती हूँ बच्चे की तरह. आई थिंक किड्स आर बेटर. तो मुझे नहीं मालूम, that's a problem. मुझे लगता है हिंदी की ग्रामर, हिंदी की भाषा बहुत सुंदर है, बहुत आसानी से प्रोनाउंस भी कर सकते हैं. अगर ये कैच करना है कि अलग अलग त, थ, द, ये सब अलग अलग है, और शुरुआत में ये किसी ने मुझे इतना एक्सप्लेन भी नहीं किया कि ये अलग अलग है, क्योंकि वो अंग्रेज़ी या जर्मन का एक्सेंट चाहिए था उसी समय. तो सिर्फ अशोक की वजह से, वो अभी स्क्रीन में आया, अशोक की वजह से मेरी हिंदी बहुत साफ सुथरे चाहिए थे वो लोग. या वो मेरी आवाज़ भी नहीं है, वो डबिंग भी किया, लेकिन फिर भी मेरा शक्ल तो है, मेरी माउथ मूवमेंट भी है, तो थोड़ा बहुत मेहनत किया. और बहुत तारीफ मेरे हस्बैंड, लेट हस्बैंड अकील मिश्रा को, बिकॉज ही वॉज देयर ऑन द सेट फॉर 1.5 years. बहुत मेहनत किया, बहुत मदद किया. एंड ही यूज्ड टू, वो स्क्रिप्ट आने के टाइम ही वाज शोइंग, अगर त है तो मैं लाइन लगा दूँ ठीक के नीचे, और अगर र है तो हल्का सा डॉट है वहाँ पे. सो ही हेल्प मी अ लॉट. और वो व्हाट्सएप का रिकॉर्डिंग भी किया, तो मेरा स्क्रिप्ट और मेरी किताबों और हेडसेट वगैरह सेट जाके वहाँ शूटिंग किया. It was very, very taxing.
But what beautiful Hindi! I'm loving it.
Yeah.
कोशिश कर रही हूँ. कभी कभी बहुत अच्छी से हो रहा है, कभी कभी ना.
But it's not just Hindi, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about the other Indian languages that you also have a grip on, and what that journey was like?
ग्रिप बिल्कुल नहीं है, क्योंकि ग्रिप तो अभी तो हिंदी में अभी मैं सीख रही हूँ ना. मराठी सारे इंडस्ट्री में, बॉम्बे में वो सारे हेयर ड्रेसर्स, मेकअप आर्टिस्ट, सब सगळ्यांचा मराठी मनुष्य. Everybody is a Marathi. So I was called by Nagesh Bhosle in 2008 to do a Marathi movie. And I remember the phone call. He said, "Ha bolo." Huh? Nagesh kya? Ha bolo. Why should I say yes? You're doing Launi in my movie. I'm like, Launi kya hai? Akil, Launi? He said, मुझे क्या मालूम? मैं यूपी से हूँ. So he was like, you have to do this dance form. So that was my first. It was a blockbuster. It still comes on. Any Marathi channel, I don't know where it is right now, but it comes every second or third month. So Rebecca from America, a lot of people know. And it was an amazing experience, and I love Launi. I did a reality show as well later, and it was, and I did a tour with a bus. I wanted to experience what a Launi dancer goes through, what they do on a daily basis, and I wanted to see, can I do that? And it was like, yes, I did, but please, Kshama kijiye, I can't sleep on a bus. So that was the biggest problem. It's not the performances are wonderful, I love all the songs. So, mera fakt ekach line hai, me kai sangu, mikasa sangu, mala karala nai. So that means I don't know. The only thing I know is that I don't know.
Yeah.
And that works well. The other languages, it depends on the what movie comes into my life. I just shot a Telugu movie, Yatra 2, again Sonia Gandhi. And I asked them for 2 months, please tell me if there are any Telugu lines in that. And they said, no, she doesn't speak any Telugu.
Yeah.
But on the way to the airport, for the first day of shoot, they sent me Telugu lines. And I was like, what happened? No, for the audience sake. What I completely understand. You must have seen so many Britishers speaking Hindi.
Yeah.
Yeah, characters.
Right,
In
Lagan.
Jhansi Ki
Classic.
Rani, everybody, Jhansi Ki Rani, I also did as a TV show. Everybody is munching on the Hindi lines with the accent. So I can understand that people really want to understand what's going on screen, so they want it in their own language. Absolutely understandable. So they sent me the lines and I said, okay, I have a system. You need to send me a WhatsApp recording of somebody who speaks clearly very well the language.
So you get the phonetics right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then he has to record it once slow and once faster. So I catch the melody of the language. Because I always believe every language has a sur.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a melody. Then they have to send it in Roman, so I can read it. Because Telugu,
Yeah.
So that was that, and then if there's anything that sounds like a R or something, then I say, please send it in Devanagari. So that's the package I need, and from there on, and of course, matlab, what it means. I can't act if I don't know what I'm saying. I have these discussions with people where they say, just say it, and I said, no, I need to know what I'm saying. If I don't know what I'm saying, how will I be able to act it the right way? And that also happened in Launi. They said, okay, these are the steps. And I said, lines? No, you don't need to lip sync. I said, I want to lip sync. This is an art form that needs to be respected. I need to lip sync, I need to do it. So they were making sheets for me, and we were going line by line, where I was like reading it, learning it, make me understand myself, and then putting it together with the dance form.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, is the way to go about
That's a great process actually to get those things in order, to have a slow and a fast, to have a Roman and Hindi, to also get the phonetics right. I think all of that is part of a beautiful package to actually go through the entire process. But Susan, the other thing that really fascinates us about your story is that, you know, we often hear about learning languages at a later stage can be a little daunting and challenging. Is there a particular sort of cheat sheet there that you want to share with our viewers on how to adapt to a language at later stages in life?
Okay, I had a lot of discussions on this, and I don't think there's an easy answer because everybody is different. Every human being is different, and everybody needs to understand where their limits are and what they can do and what they can't do. Ake was speaking wonderfully, beautifully Hindi. He also could speak Urdu, but when it was coming to English, I found his English impeccable, and he kept on saying, no, my English is not good. to that day, until he's not there with us anymore, he was always insisting on that. And learning a language, I think there are people who just love it, and they have they have an idea for it. Like, I can't do math. I have no idea about numbers. I turn numbers around. If you give me a telephone number, I screw it up. I tell you. If you say blah 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 blah, and I'm like no, one by one. So I have my own issues. I think everybody is given a gift, and I think in India, there are so many people who speak so many beautiful languages here. This country is so beautiful for this diversity. And when I was asked by people in Germany, why are you there? I said, where in the world can you be in one country? Go from county to county, from Maharashtra to Bengal, for example. And you have a different culture, you have different food, you have a different language, everything sounds different, but you're still in Bharat. You're still in that country, and everybody is still an Indian who has that Indianness, the colorfulness, the spirit, the spirituality, the happiness. So it doesn't matter where you are in India, but you're experiencing a whole new country.
You're such an
That's
advocate
so-
for the diversity.
I love it.
said.
I
Very,
love
very
it.
nicely
I
said,
have,
yeah.
I've done this I've told so many people about it. Where in the world can I just fly for 45 minutes and I'm in some completely different environment? I'm going out and I don't understand anything and anybody or like, Hindi, Angrezi, kaun si bhasha, main kaise baat kar lu aap logon se? So, and in many countries, in many places, for example, Hyderabad shoot for Yatra 2, everybody chose Hindi.
Yeah.
They felt more comfortable talking to me in Hindi than they were.
Oh, then in English.
Than
Yeah,
in English.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I gave the option
Fascinating.
because mujhe koi dikkat nahi hai. I don't mind it. But it was very interesting to see that a lot of people were choosing Hindi. From the spot boy to the driver to the director basically. He was speaking to me in English, but then everybody else on the set.
Susan, lovely to chat up with you. Lovely to get a glimpse of your life and understand how beautifully you've taken on to the Indian culture and languages. Good luck with everything that you do in the future.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for coming in.
Thank you, lovely hosts.
Thank
And
you.
Breakfast Club rocks.
Super. How do you say that in Hindi though?
Oh God, rock? No. Yeah, patta marenge Breakfast Club ko. No. Oh, I have one German word for everybody.
yeah.
Auf Wiedersehen. What means goodbye.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's a good note. Thanks Susan. See you.
Goodbye. Good night.
Bye.
All right, so we're going to move on now from that to
All right.
something entirely different. But I loved the melody of Hindi. That was so beautiful to hear. All right, we're going to take you now from that to stories that are taking place across the entire world. First, let's take a look at this story around a car. What started a few years ago as a small project for a locally manufactured car-shaped vehicle that can move on water has now turned into a major endeavor for Karim Amin. He's the owner and founder of Jet Car Chrome. These car-shaped boats, you're looking at it on your screen right now, they're made in Egypt and they've been sold around the world. Engines are imported from Japan. Budget was about $50,000 when he started. This is in 2019. He started it as a very, very small project and it's now become what it is today. He started with just a few vehicles driving on Egypt's north coast. But now, as you can see, these gorgeous car boats across rivers.
More than 1,000 musicians, including Kate Bush and Cat Stevens, on Tuesday released a silent album to protest proposed changes in Britain's copyright laws, which could allow tech firms to train artificial intelligence models using their work. The co-written album, titled Is This What We Want?, features recordings of empty studios and performances spaces to represent the organizers say is the potential impact of artists' livelihoods should the changes go ahead. The list of 12 tracks combined creates the sentence: the British government must not legalize music theft to benefit AI companies.
And you didn't think you would hear about it today, but salmon sperm facials and natural-looking Botox are all the rage right now, while overdone fillers and big lips are out. This is according to UK beauty experts. Ahead of Oscar night on March 2nd, we're hearing about all the beauty trends that celebrities are going in for. Dr. Leah Totten, she owns 3 non-surgical cosmetic clinics in the UK, says it's the natural look that her clients want. Other popular treatments include the Morpheus 8, a procedure that combines microneedling with radiofrequency, and polynucleotides, both of which she says help people look the best version of themselves without changing anything about how they look.
Peggy Dipple-Usi, who played Dogpool in Deadpool and Wolverine, won Best in the World at the Fido Awards, the canine equivalent of Academy Awards in London. Event organizer Toby Rose said Peggy had a real presence on the screen. Peggy's owner, Holly Middleton, said that to go from being UK's ugliest dog to now best in the world is really quite a wild ride.
Okay, we're going to shift to something slightly different. The movie industry's top honors, the Oscars, they'll be capping an award season that's seen several films vying for recognition. Who is likely to win the night? That remains the big question. We're going to be bringing you live coverage of the Oscars on Monday. But before that, this is a lowdown. Everything you need to know going into the final countdown from Reuters' Sean Hogan. Take a look.
Hollywood stars gather for the movie industry's top honours, the Oscars, on Sunday. But who will take home the Academy Awards' most coveted statuette for Best Picture remains unclear. The Brutalist, in which Adrien Brody plays a Hungarian immigrant trying to rebuild his life in the United States, had been an early frontrunner. But it was Conclave that won Best Film at the UK's BAFTAs, as well as Best Movie Ensemble at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And many consider Anora, about an exotic dancer who gets involved with a Russian oligarch's son, a strong awards season contender. Director Sean Baker triumphed at the Critics' Choice, as well as Producers and Directors Guilds of America Awards. Tim Richards is founder and chief executive of cinema operator View.
And I think it's really going to be down to Anora and The Brutalist. And I think one will win Best Director, and I think that one will win Best Film. It's possible that Anora might make a clean sweep, but we'll have to wait and see.
Winners in the Best Actress and Best Actor categories might be more clear-cut. Adrien Brody has won several lead actor awards for The Brutalist, though he did lose out at the SAG Awards to Timothée Chalamet for his portrayal of Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. Demi Moore has been repeatedly honoured for her performance in body horror The Substance and is expected to win at the Oscars. Ian Sandwell is Digital Spy's movies editor.
They're going to be looking at it because they want to see Demi Moore win and be on the Academy stage for her first ever Oscar nomination, first ever win, hopefully, when it comes to it. It's just a great story in Hollywood. Hollywood loves a comeback.
However, as with any awards ceremony, viewers should be prepared for more surprises. Fernanda Torres has already won a Golden Globe for I'm Still Here, in which she portrays a mother who rebuilds her life after her husband goes missing during Brazil's military regime in the 1970s.
So she could well be a surprise and the only one to take it away from Demi on the night.
Sandwell also thinks I'm Still Here could potentially pip Spanish language film Emilia Perez to the Best Foreign Language Film accolade. Emilia Perez, in which Carla Sofia Gascon plays a Mexican cartel leader who transitions from a man to a woman, had been an early awards frontrunner. It leads Oscar nominations with 13 nods, but its campaign lost steam following controversy surrounding Gascon, who has apologised for past social media posts. However, Zoe Saldana has dominated this awards season supporting actress category and is expected to win again on Sunday.
Alright, shifting focus to the world of auto now. The 2025 Audi RS Q8 has landed in India and it's a game changer. With its starting price of 2.49 crore, this super SUV is not for the faint of the heart.
In this review, Overdrive is going to take us through the exciting updates that set the RS Q8 apart from its predecessors. Let's dive in and explore the features that make the 2025 Audi RS Q8 the ultimate driving experience. Take a look. This is the Overdrive verdict.
Now, if you like your SUV and especially if you like your Audi SUVs, then it doesn't get any more top draw than this. This is the Audi RS Q8. It's just been refreshed for 2025 and it's now the fastest SUV that Audi makes. So let's see what you actually get with it. Now, if you've seen the recent facelift to the regular Q8, then some of it will be familiar, but of course for this RS version, things have been upped quite a bit. So you get those matrix LED lighting with that new DRL pattern. And the honeycomb grille here also is now different. Of course, for this RS version, it's finished in black. And there have been some changes made to this grille. There's more honeycomb here, this kind of blade-like arrangement in the middle, which matches the black to give it that slightly more compact look. And yeah, some kind of air intake kind of feature here. It's not really functional, but it gives you that sort of sharp look in the front. So now 0 to 100 comes in 3.6 seconds and it'll do a top speed of 305 kmph. Now there's a lot of chassis tech that goes behind this engine to make this SUV give you that 7.3 second Nürburgring lap time. So what you do get is all-wheel steering, a 48 volt active roll stabilization system, and then of course all the braking and suspension enhancement that I just spoke of. Now if you've seen the regular Q8, then of course the basic layout will be quite familiar to you. But there are a lot of enhancements to give you that sporty feeling to match what's under the hood. So to start with, you have these RS one-piece seats with the RS embroidery and the red contrasting stitching. You can get about 4 or 5 different color options and various kind of material choices. For example, this has this kind of inlay here. You can get wood, you can get a carbon fiber type finish, so whatever you want really. And then of course you have all the Alcantara, for example, this micro suede like material here on the steering wheel. You have this RS style steering wheel. Now you have a head-up display and this virtual cockpit. Now on the outside it looks similar to the regular Q8, but it has completely different graphics, more sporty graphics to go with the overall performance of this car. Now you'll notice some of those added patterns here too. This car in the carbon fiber arrangement, more kind of macro suede, Alcantara type feeling on the door handle, the contrasting stitching and so on. So yeah, it gives you all the touch points, this red RS button. So all the touch points have that kind of sporty feel. You now get new 23-inch wheels. They're lighter than before, and then of course you still have the adaptive suspension that can raise it to about 90 mm. The range is about 90 mm, and you have an active rear diff as well. And not to mention, you still get those carbon ceramic brakes, huge discs within those pretty big wheels by themselves. Now just like the front, you have slightly different designs for the LED lighting, but a bigger change is here. You notice this vertical kind of race car like arrangement, this diffuser kind of arrangement. It's not functional, and this has the RS exhaust package, so it sounds a bit better when you option that. Now the whole point of a super SUV is that you can go corner carving with your friends and family, and in the back it's very similar to the regular Q8. So you have those powered sunshades, you have that 4-zone climate control. The seats again have been slightly changed. They are a bit more cocooning than in the regular Q8. You have that RS embroidery, this kind of arrangement here, the red seat belts. So yeah, even here it gives you that slightly sporty feeling.
Alright, with that we're going to slip into a quick break. Coming back, the visuals we love leaving you with. Stay tuned.
Our focus is on achieving a ceasefire as soon as possible and ultimately a permanent peace. My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere, because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues. Chief among them is this is the right time. It may be the only time. You know, we're working on deals right now, transactions right now, and in particular, the big one is to get the war stopped, whether it's ceasefire or direct to an agreement.
I think it's good to have discussion. I think it's useful to have negotiation. I think it's super important to go to the peace. But my strong point was to say, let's try to get something first which can be assessed, checked and verified. And let's be sure that we build sufficient guarantees on the short run. And this is where we are ready to be engaged. As for France, a lot of my European colleagues are ready to be engaged. But we do need this American backup, because this is part of the credibility of the security guarantees. And this is our collective deterrence capacity. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for the time.
We want peace. And I think the initiative of President